of people in this industry make documentaries, but they never get released.
A ton of people. I've actually done a lot of interviews and all that stuff, but I've never actually seen where they went, if they went anywhere. And a lot of people like to do coffee table books that never get released either.
Well, this DVD will be released, don't worry. It'll be a big one. I'm trying to get as many people involved as possible.
How many people have you gotten so far?
Excluding the AVN footage, there's probably about 15 people already.
20?
I'm fine, I got 10, thank you. So how old are you?
23.
And how long have you been in the industry?
5 years.
So you got involved when you were 18?
Yeah.
What was going through your head when you first got in there?
You mean what provoked me to get in, or what did I think about my first scene?
How about both? Yeah, how'd you first get in, or what made you want to do it?
I was going to UC Irvine, and majoring in drama at first. And student loans are very expensive. I had good grades and all of that stuff, but I got some grants and that kind of thing. But I was trying to figure out a really easy way of paying for school, and not working very hard. So I was flipping through the back of a newspaper. It was like Orange County Times or something. There's a big ad said girls make up to $2,500 a day nude modeling. I figured I could take off my clothes. Shouldn't be too hard, right?
Yeah.
And I started by doing photo sets, which really wasn't much for me. Like, yeah, I figured if people wanted to pay me to take off my clothes, cool. Some guy talked me into video. My first video, actually, my first 2 videos happened on the same day. I did one for Bill Whitrock and one for Ed Powers. And Ed Powers was 2 hours before Bill Whitrock, because he called me. He'd found out that I was supposed to be doing my first one, called me up same day and said, "Can you come do mine first? I'll pay you more." So I went and did that. And he actually made the whole experience very comfortable. He is very used to working with new girls. So while I was incredibly nervous and I just laid there and didn't say anything, which I feel bad about now, but he understands. You know, he was really cool throughout the whole thing. And while I was driving there, I kept thinking, I could turn around. I can turn around any minute. I don't actually have to do this. But I think in a way I wanted to see if I could do it. It was almost like this challenge, because I've never been, before the industry, I'd had 4 boyfriends. I'd never had a one-night stand, no fuck buddies. I wasn't very sexually experienced. And so to go have sex with a total stranger and get money for it was a little odd.
How old were you when you lost your virginity?
15.
Okay.
And it was my 16-year-old boyfriend, and we actually had dated for like 3 years, or ended up dating for 3 years, and it was in the back of his mom's minivan at a drive-in movie, and I actually initiated it. It was kind of cute, because he's like, "Are you sure you want to do this?" I'm like, "Yeah, I want to see what it's all about." I was curious.
So what was, let me ask you this, a quick question I have that I often wonder about is, society looks kind of down on porn, at least a portion of society does.
Yeah.
How do you look at society?
How do I look at society? I don't know. I think society's view of porn is changing a lot. Obviously, I mean, Jenna Jameson was in Us Weekly. When Jenna Jameson, big time porn star, is in Us Weekly, it's becoming a little mainstream at least. And a lot of other, adult actors or actresses are in other movies. So I think there's more acceptance now than there ever was. But you still have people who really think it's this horrible thing. But I think they think it's horrible not necessarily because of the sex, but because they see it as a form of degradation and manipulation, and getting people to do things they don't really want to do. They hear these stories about these guys pimping these girls out, and I think that's what they think of, rather than, hey, it's actually a business. It's a job. You can go to work, do this, and come home, make good money, and still be you at the end of the day. But some people make it their lifestyle, and others make it their job.
So where are we going right now? What are we doing?
I flew in from New Jersey last night, and I was there for 4 days. I was actually shooting some ads for Spectrum Electronics. It's an electronic company on the East Coast. So we had like, it was this long shoot. We got like 1,700 images in the period of 2 days, and it was long, but it was good. And well, because of that, I had to drop my dog off at boarding. And 134 Hollywood. Yeah. Sorry, I figured out where I'm going. I had to drop my dog off at boarding, and I couldn't pick him up last night when I came home because they're not open on Sunday. So I'm picking him up this morning. This is the sad part. The boarding looks like a pound, and it was heartbreaking to leave him there. Normally I leave him at this really nice, almost, I guess, ritzy dog boarding place. And I thought I was leaving him there again. I went to go drop him off, and they were full, which, I didn't understand. Turns out it's last weekend of summer, and everybody's going out on vacation. Of course, I never would have thought about that. I don't go on vacation. So I had to call around and find this place, and it was the only place that had a spot open. So by the time I went, and my dog was up to date on all his shots, and this is really pointless information, I guess, but I had to run around and go get him an extra shot because they wanted his Bordetella shot within so many months of the time I was boarding him, which seems silly. Even the vet thought it was silly, but oh well. So I had to run around and do that the morning of my flight, then drop him off at this place, and at that point, it didn't matter what the place looked like, because if I didn't leave my dog there, I wasn't going on the trip. And it was pretty sad, because it looked like a pound. It's just very cold and concrete, and then I felt really guilty because I went to drop him off. I realized I didn't bring his dog bed. Not only did I not bring his dog bed, I had no sweater, no shirt, nothing in my car to leave with him that smelled like me. And I felt so bad, particularly because he's a rescue dog. And I've had him for like a year and a half. And I'm sure that before that year and a half, he spent many times in pounds. And so it's probably very traumatic. And maybe I'm just reading too much into it because he's a dog. But at the same time, it was just sad.
So, are you a good driver? Am I safe right now?
No, you're safe.
I'm just checking.
Sorry. Oh.
No. I'm just kidding with you.
Well, all the jerky stuff. Well, because here's the thing. I know how big my car is. So I don't mind squeezing into a space if I got that much room in between the other car. Sorry.
No problem.
Which I know isn't very good. But,
So how'd you come up with your name?
Aurora came from Sleeping Beauty. And Snow came from this editor at AVN, Todd Hunter, went on a trip to, where'd we go? Trip to San Francisco. And do you know if I passed Hollywood Way yet?
No, Hollywood Way is coming out.
Cool. Sorry. When I talk, I don't see it through signs. Todd Hunter from AVN told me I looked as fresh and pure as the driven snow. So my last name should be Snow, and that only strippers have first names. So I needed a last name. So in about the first month of the industry, I was only Aurora. Then I went on this trip, and I was Aurora Snow. It's a cute story.
What do you think of the federal government kind of cracking down on porn right now?
I go both ways on that. I know I'm in porn, and I know that I should say that it's really bad. And a part of me does think that it is really bad. And a part of me thinks that some of these companies were going so far and doing things to girls where I'd be on set, and it's not that the girl wasn't willing. She was perfectly willing. She was willing to go the extra distance, do whatever it took to get this really great, malicious scene or whatever. And there's certain scenes that I've seen where I was waiting for the girl to get hurt. My one fear, I think, is that somebody's going to be so violent, and it's going to be... they're going to be so into it, and there's going to be so much aggression, because that's what the scene's calling for, that a girl's going to be getting her ass fucked with something really big, and somehow it's just going to break that tiny little wall in between, the two holes, and I don't know. I wouldn't exactly want to see that happen, and I know it's happened once before, and it makes you wonder how far we can go. And so maybe on the one hand, with them coming in, it is putting a marker on how far we can go and what we can really do. On the other hand, it's kind of bad because right now we're streamlined, we're going one way. Well, if they put a marker, we're going to try to find something just as vicious to go the other way. And maybe it'll make it worse. But that's perspective some people might not appreciate, I suppose.
What's been your most extreme experience so far in the industry?
Extreme. I did Gangbang Girl number 27 and 33, which was actually pretty cool. And I suppose it's extreme because one of them had 12 guys and another girl, and the other one just had 12 or 13 guys and me. But it sounds kind of extreme, but it didn't actually feel that extreme when I was in it. It was actually pretty fun. I got turned into a human burrito. But I don't know if that was so much sexually extreme. It's just kind of odd. And I laid my naked body out, poured frozen guacamole on me, cheese, beans, all this burrito stuff. And then the two guys that were in the scene had to be like the chefs, so they came over with chips, started eating off of me, and somehow that turned into this like really cool DP, which is double penetration.
Sounds kind of like a different kind of thing.
It was, actually. It was fun. It was really fun. It was something that Jim Powers directed, and he's magnificent with stuff like that. He comes up with just the most far-out ideas, and they work. He makes them work. So.
How is like the politics in porn? Like, is there a such thing?
Yeah, there's a lot of politics in porn. I try to stay out of it. I don't like to get wrapped up in it. I would rather go to set, do my job, do stuff, and go home. As it happens, I don't really hang out with anybody in the industry either. I keep it very separate.
Like, do you have a boyfriend in your normal life?
No, I had one for a while, but he was in the industry, and now we're just friends. So I would just... I don't know that having a boyfriend really works while you're in the industry. Sorry. I dated a civilian who wasn't in the industry. It was nice for like the first couple of weeks, and then he got this idea in his head that he was dating Aurora Snow. So we started telling everybody, yeah, I'm dating Aurora Snow, I'm her boyfriend, and he got really cocky about it. And I was actually signing at AVN, so he decided to come to AVN, come see me, and he said something like, I'll bet my friends I could go out and kiss Aurora Snow and she won't slap me, and all this kind of stuff to like kind of show off in front of fans. That's not fair. Fans don't want to see that. The fans come there to see me, to sign so that I can talk to them and be open and be single. And even if I'm not single, at least appear that way. And he didn't quite understand that because he was really floating high on dating Aurora Snow. And I didn't like that. I'm more into like that personal, down-to-earth thing. So one day he kept calling and I just didn't call him back. Never told him why, never gave him a reason, just stopped altogether. Thought it was kind of funny, but it could have been kind of cruel.
Like, you used to take drama classes in college.
Mm-hmm.
Like, did you want to be an actress, like in Hollywood? Or?
Yeah, I've done a few things. I did when I was younger, I did like a Bon Jovi music video, and I did like these little things. And I was in a few movies, but not anything major. It was just very little stuff, and I did quite a bit of theater, but that was years ago. But yeah, I used to think I was going to be mainstream actress or theater or something like that. And then I ended up getting in porn, and I knew that pretty much all chances of that died.
Do you still see there being a possibility to, if like porn gets more accepted, to...
Yeah, because I think a friend of mine saw Devil's Rejects, and they said that I want to say Gina Lynn or Ginger Lynn. One of them was playing the girlfriend of the clown, if that makes any sense. If you saw it, I haven't. So yeah, there's a lot more acceptance. There's a lot more girls that are becoming mainstream actresses, but they're becoming mainstream actresses as the porn star. You know, their scene is having sex with somebody or being the porn star, which really isn't bad. That's, you know, it'd still be fun. But it's pigeonholing if you even get that chance. And most of the girls that get that chance are girls that have been promoted a lot like that, similar to the girls of Vivid or some really high-end companies that do that kind of thing.
Do you think that there should be a union for porn stars?
See, I don't know necessarily whether there should be, but I know that it's not going to happen because there's so many, like, all the new girls that flip in and out. You don't have a lot of people that have been in it for a couple of years and would actually devote their time or their money to the union. A lot of people wouldn't see the union as being so beneficial that they should pay union dues, and it's not something that they would be responsible towards, I want to say. I don't think very many people in porn really unite over anything. There's a few things, but I don't think that they would actually unite over a union.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's too many. Porn has a lot of people who just have their own agenda, and they don't really want to be grouped together with anybody, and it's kind of like this dysfunctional high school family. It actually reminds me a lot of high school.
Let me ask you, is this as low as the air conditioner gets?
Oh, do you want it lower?
Yeah, just in case it's blowing on the mic. I'm sorry.
You can turn it if you want. I'll turn it off. It's just gonna get warm.
Oh, I know. We're better off saying a little bit cool, but I left my headphones in my backpack.
Gotcha.
I'm sure the audio's fine though. So you've always lived in Southern California?
Central Coast, Santa Maria. Small town. It was a small cow town, but they've done so much building that it's actually starting to look like a city. So it is on Central Coast, like 10-15 minutes from the beach, but I wasn't much of a beach person. I grew up honor roll student. I mostly read a lot of books. You know, when you have recess and you're a little kid and all the little kids are playing on the playground, I was sitting on a bench reading books. And you know how schools have all those, like, awards for reading? You read so many books, you do this. They really encourage reading. I read so much as a child, they got really concerned about it, and they'd call my mom in and say, you know, we think she reads too much. And my mom's like, is that a problem? They're like, well, she doesn't get up and play. So, that was my childhood.
Like, what was your opinion on the porn industry before you got involved in it?
I didn't have an opinion.
You never would watch porn?
I was actually making videos for a good 6 months or longer before I'd even seen a porn. I'd never seen one. I didn't even have friends that watched. And the only reason that I saw one for the first time was because my boyfriend wanted to watch one. So I watched it with him, and it was just kind of, I don't know, it was kind of odd. It's not, because at that point I was already in it, and he was watching one that I had done. And so I was like watching it, and I was being very self-critical. So wasn't actually watching it to enjoy it. I was watching it going, I shouldn't be making that kind of face, or, oh, my arm was in a weird position, you know. And so, but no, I'd never seen one before that.
What kind of videos were you making before you got in there?
Before I got...
in the porn industry?
Oh, what kind of videos?
Yeah, like student films and stuff? Or?
No, I did a lot of theater, and then I did some... I didn't actually make them. I was in them. I did theater, and I did music videos and some movies, like small parts, like in Bedazzled and Pumpkin and 7-Eleven commercial, which, but that was all like 5 years ago, 6 years ago. All of that happened very shortly before I got into porn. Because I had turned 18, and I was doing some of it before I was 18. And I apparently, I had to read street signs. My eyes aren't exactly that great, but I can still drive. Yeah, so I did some of that kind of stuff, and then I got into porn when I was 18, but it was May, and I turned 18 in November. So I had like almost 6 months of doing other stuff, but porn paid a lot more, a lot quickly.
Like, you got in the industry when you were 18 years old. Do you feel that, like, the standard age should be bumped up to 21, or do you think 18 is acceptable?
I think 18 is acceptable. I think that the 18 age thing, or age limit, or whatever, it's enough time for people to have graduated high school in most cases. Yeah, they can go out and they can fight in war. They should be able to have sex on camera too. And I think the 21-year-old drinking age is kind of silly, or that they should bump every age up to 21. I think there should be a standard age. It shouldn't be the 18 and 21. If you're going to have to be 18 for something, be 18 for everything that you have to do.
How about, like, the drug use in the business? It sounds like that kind of goes hand in hand with porn.
It's not just porn. It goes hand in hand with the entertainment industry. Any industry where you have a lot of money, people who could possibly not show up for a day of work and still be okay because they have a name, and also people who don't have very much responsibility and a lot of free time, which is the entire entertainment industry, not just porn. But that's going to happen anywhere. I mean, even if you had, like, look at all those little socialites. They have a lot of free time, and they're always in rehab because they have a lot of free money as well. And that's what you end up getting in the entertainment industry. So, yeah, it exists, but it's not just porn.
Who's your favorite person to work with?
I've had a lot of different favorite people. It really depends. Honestly, I can't think of somebody right now. I like working with all the people that I've worked with. So I usually don't work with people I don't want to work with.
You've worked with Lex Steele, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what was that like? What's Lex like?
He was nice to work with. He did a good job, and he was nice. So,
Is it true he has the biggest dick in porn?
He has one of the biggest, but I don't think he has the biggest, because there's a guy named Mandingo who I believe might be bigger. So, but it's not by a whole lot. That's the street.
Have you been with Mandingo?
I did a blowjob scene with him and Kaylin, because it took 2 girls.
Uh-huh.
So we missed the street, and now I'm trying to figure out how to get back there without making a U-turn.
Are you bisexual or straight? Or?
When I first got in the industry, I was definitely straight, and but I was open to doing girls, and I actually had fun with some of them. But I don't think that I would have dated one in my personal life, just because that wasn't my preference. But the last guy that I dated wasn't exactly so great, and so now for a while, I'm a little iffy on dating men. So if there was any time in my life when I would be more likely to date a woman, it would probably be around this time.
How do you see, like, the porn industry, like what you're doing now? How do you see that, like, affecting the future of your life, like having a family and kids?
Well, it certainly tells you a lot about the people who are around you, and who your real friends are, and how true they are to you. I think that if somebody's going to love you and be with you, then they're kind of going to accept what you have in your past. They might not like it, but they'll accept it and they'll understand that it's something that you did. But just because you did it doesn't mean that that's who you are. And I think anybody who's meant for you is really going to understand that. And yeah, I guess, having kids, that might bring up a few issues. But I don't actually plan on having kids. Wrong street. And I've got 3 younger brothers, and I think it was harder on them for a while, but when they see that you're still the same person and you're not actually the image you've created off camera, it becomes a little better. And there's a lot of things that I probably can't do anymore, like certain jobs, politics, certain types of law, trial lawyers, that kind of thing.
Why couldn't you do trial lawyer?
Because if you ever had a really famous case and they dig up dirt on you and all that stuff, if you were in a group of trial lawyers, then it would be fine. Is this it? Maybe? Sorry. I've only driven here once before. This is the second time.
No problem. What's your dog's name and what kind of dog is it?
His name is Bungie, and he came with that name, so I couldn't not call him that, and it matches him. And he is a shepherd mix. The vet says he's mixed with a pit bull, but I don't know, maybe he is because he's kind of stocky, but he's not nearly as big as a pit bull, or a shepherd rather.
Should I wait right out here?
It's up to you. You can come with me. I don't care.
Alright. I just don't know if they probably won't want to be in a camera.
Sorry, I don't always talk very well while I drive, by the way. No clue. Well, I came here for the first time 4 days ago, so. Not normally, but see his tail? He's so incredibly excited. He doesn't normally pull me this much. He's usually pretty good. You should have seen him with the woman. She brought him down, and he had to come down a long hallway to get to me. He flew. Absolutely flew down the hallway. All right. Well, stop. Sponge.
She questioning why the camera was here?
Yeah, I just told her it was visible. Oh, muddy paws. Muddy paws. My baby. When I sleep, I have all these animals sleeping on top of me.
Does he terrorize the cats?
He gets along with them, but he gets in playful moods where he just wants to chase them. So he chases them, and they get so pissed. One cat will actually run, and the other cat just stands their ground and hisses. But he's an annoyance for them because I've had them for 4 years. Well, I had him for a year.
So does he get a lot of the bitches?
Um,
You know what I mean by that? The female dogs? Or no?
he's neutered.
I'm joking.
So, I don't know.
What do you feel are some of the more like controversial things about the porn industry right now?
Honestly, at this very moment, I don't know, because for the last 3 months, I've been so busy doing so much, like on the road and traveling and that sort of thing, that I haven't been on sets, I haven't been around anybody in the industry, and I don't know if there's any new issues that are going on. I know for a while it was the AIDS thing and the testing and stuff like that, but that was a while ago.
Yeah, like what goes through your mind like every time you get a test? Are you kind of like nervous or?
No. I don't do anything. I don't have any extracurricular activities. And I try to know who I'm working with, and I try to know what their habits are outside of their job. That way I can judge how safe I think it is to work with them. So you kind of really have to know. It's nice to know who you're working with or know what kind of reputation they have for what they do. I mean, that's other than on set. I mean, those people are usually pretty safe too, because they're aware that it's their job. If their test comes up dirty, then they're not going to be able to make any more money at what they're doing. You know, they'll have to find another job, and a lot of people don't really want to do that. They're comfortable doing what they're doing, so they're not going to go out of their way to go risk catching something and risk that. I think. I hope. But no, I feel pretty confident in most of the people that I've worked with, and I feel pretty safe with them. And I would hope that anybody who knows that they've put themselves at risk would just respect other people's lives and not work for a couple of months and wait and see.
Like politically, where do you stand? Like, what's your political beliefs?
As far as whether I'm a Democrat or Republican, as far as taxes, what?
Yeah, like that all that stuff, like Democrat, Republican, just like the world right now as a whole.
Well, I believe that I have both Democratic and Republican views, and I think that our definition of democratic or of a Democrat, it certainly doesn't categorize me, but I'm not a Republican either. I think it depends on what I've been reading, because what I read a lot influences me. Also, I listen to a lot of talk radio. And they've got a lot of political shows on that, and you hear these different people's opinions, but I know that I'm only hearing one side, so until I read more about something, I don't know. I don't go whichever the way the wind blows me, but if I happen to read something, I'm going to reserve my opinion on it until I know better or until I find out more information. So I don't go with either side. I go with what I think is right. And I didn't vote for Bush, if that is in the indicator. And I think that he's wrong in a lot of the things that he does, a lot. But at the same time, some of the stuff that I've been hearing, I think, like this whole war. Yeah, maybe the war itself wasn't right, but we're out there now. And because we're out there, we should absolutely be supporting our troops 100%. They're out there on the line putting their lives out there. What are we doing? We're not out there fighting. We're not out there seeing the guy next to us get his head blown off. We should be absolutely supporting them. And I can't believe that mother, Cindy Sheehan, yeah, her son died. We are sorry for her loss. And I'm sure, but how many other mothers have had their sons die? And it'll continue to happen. That's what you do. That's how you unite and support your country, and they show patriotism, which we've really, we don't have nearly as much patriotism today as we did many, many years ago, which is sad because we have so many people coming from other countries, which I like. I think having all the different cultures is great, but I also think that wherever it is that you've decided to take up residence, you should have some sort of loyalty to. Like, if that's where you're living, that's what you support, that's what you back. You don't come to the United States, live in the United States, and still root for the guys that we're fighting for just because they're your nationality. I mean, if that's the case, then you should be living there. You shouldn't be rooting for the guy. I think that's wrong. I don't know. I think all these people that have died in the war is very sad. And at the same time, I think it'd be stupid to pull out now. Not that we're going to anyway, so it doesn't matter. But if we pulled out now, all those people would have died for... They still died for something. But on the same note, they would have kind of... What would they have really died for if you pull it now? Now, if you stay there, yeah, we're probably going to lose a lot more lives. But maybe we're still working towards something, and that little hope that maybe all the people who've already died are actually going to have accomplished something in their death means something. And
So is this dog like the most important man in your life right now?
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I've got 3 younger brothers, and they're pretty important to me. I'm actually gonna go see one of them. One of them plays football. I'm going up on Friday to go see him play football for the first time. He's been playing it for a couple of years, but with my schedule, and I used to always work on weekends, that I've actually just never really got around to seeing him play football. And this is his last year of high school, and in this first game where he's got this really big part, and he's really good at it. So I'm really proud of him. And he asked me 3 months ago if I could please make sure to come up on September 2nd. So I figure with that much advance notice, it's very important, and I'll be there. So, but they're my brothers, and I very much believe in family. And I believe in... I don't know if I believe in putting family first before yourself, which is something I'm still learning. But I do believe in putting your family before work, which is still... It's a hard and fine line to draw on when and where and how.
What is your family, like your mom and your brothers, what do they think about this? What you do?
We never really talked about it. We never really sat down and said, well, I do this. They found out. My brothers found out probably because their friends recognized me, is my guess. And, it was something that went without saying. And they knew it, and we just didn't talk about it, didn't bring it up. And that's kind of still a little how it is now, except that we've talked about it a little more because I had them down. Actually, all 3 of them were down visiting, and they were staying for 2 weeks. Well, I had to go sign at AdultCon, which was in LA. And, I knew that they would probably get a kick out of it because they'd get to go around and, be fans almost. But at the same time, it was a very odd thing for me to say, hey, I have to go do this. If you want to come, you can come, but I'm going to be selling videos, so if that's going to bother you, you shouldn't come. And they just, when I was selling videos and when I was at my booth, they looked the other way. They chose not to see that part of it. And they had fun, and they got to see their first adult convention. And my little brother thought it was funny. They had a great time. They went around getting pictures with everybody, and it was pretty cool.
What would you think if your brothers wanted to get in the porn industry?
I wouldn't want them in it.
Why not?
I think the industry is a living, breathing entity, and if you let it, it'll take you down, and you have to be kind of a strong person to not. And there are a lot of strong people in this industry, But there's a lot of people who think that they're on top, and I mean they think that, the industry's not going to do that to them, and maybe for a couple of years it seems like it's not, and then one day it hits you, and it got you, and you never even saw it sneaking up on you. And in a way, it's a way of thinking, it's a way of living, and it's I think that in some ways it's a lot desensitizing. So you kind of come out of it with lost innocence. You're a little more jaded than you were when you first went in. And I know I am. There's a lot of things that I would never normally say, think, do, everything. And yet now I could probably do all of those things without even really thinking about it. And you get so wrapped up into it because it's another world. That to still stay sane and just down to earth and really keep your grip on reality, you have to do something else outside of the industry that keeps you grounded, or maybe have that person outside of the industry that's keeping you grounded. And for me, a lot of the times that's my family, because I'll go back to visit my mom and my brothers, and I listen to the way they talk, I see the way they act around people and the way that they are, and it's just like, wow, I used to be like that and now I'm not. And so then I try to become like that again. That kind of, my innocence is a little lost, but that doesn't mean I have to be so jaded about certain things either. I guess what it is the industry kind of makes people hard. They're not they're nice people, but they have a hardness to them, which makes sense. It's what it does. It's that I don't ever want to be like that, and I see that a lot in people that have been in it for years, and I just am sure that it happens and they don't even realize it. I know. Sorry. My puppy. No.
Do you want your attention?
Yeah. And he probably wants to get out of the car.
What was your childhood like?
It was, I kept to myself. It wasn't really, like I said, I read a lot of books. I grew up with my 3 younger brothers, and my mom and dad were divorced when I was younger, and I didn't have a bad childhood. It was just, I guess in today's standards, it might just be normal. I came from we didn't really have any money for anything. Our first TV was this little black and white TV, which is a little 13-inch black and white TV. But the funny part is that it didn't have, it had one of those little knobs where you turn it, and it only had 13 channels. And we had rabbit ears, and I always remember that TV, and we had that for many, many years. And it wasn't because that was the only TV out, that was just because it was the only TV that we had. And I actually think somebody gave it to us. And that's how we ended up getting it. Because we really didn't have that much money. There's certain things that I can't eat today because they just remind me, they're terrible. Like, like what, ramen noodles, they're like 10 cents, really cheap. We used to eat a lot of those. I can't eat them at all. I can't eat them. And there's like 25-cent frozen burritos, except they used to be like 20 cents. I can't eat those. I can't eat frozen burritos because we had to eat them so much, and it was terrible. And I decided that I would never eat those things again. And when I was like 11, I had a paper route, so that was a cute paper route, but I had actually 2. And carrying 100 Sunday papers on your back, not fun. And honestly, I really don't know how I did it, because I look back, I know I did it, I remember it, and I remember my mom thinking I was going to hurt myself, and somehow I would get up and I would do it. And I couldn't carry that many papers today, which is really weird, and just, I don't I don't really know how I did it. I think it's one of those things that was just sheer stubbornness and determination. And I did that for 2 years. And then when I was 13, I got a job at this pizza place. And it was like this take and bake pizza place. So we didn't actually cook it there. And getting a job at 13 is, almost impossible. I applied for this job, called the place every day for 3 months. They were so sick of me that they wanted to give me a job just so that they could fire me. And, they figured they would be firing me because I probably wasn't a very good employee. But they just wanted me to stop calling. So they hired me. I worked out well. I ended up keeping that job for 3 years. And at a very young age, I was a manager. And which was really a trip because at 15 I was a manager of a pizza place. And the people that I had to train hated me for it because I was so young. And here they would come in and they would be, 21, 22, and it was 15-year-old training them. I hated it. But it was pretty cool. And then from there, I was a waitress, and I did everything. I did the waitress, hostess, busser, and it was a really good hard worker because I was so determined to always have money. Once I knew that I had the ability to work and I knew I could get money, I just decided that I would never, ever have to worry about it again. And so far I haven't. And I think that's probably one of the reasons that brought me into porn. It's very lucrative. And if you play your cards right, you don't have to worry. And I've gotten into investments and that kind of thing too. I know. Okay.